guys, welcome back to the Curly Reader. My name's Amanda, and today I want to share with you the books that I'm planning on reading for middle grade March. Okay, so in case you're new around here, you don't know what middle grade March is. Middle grade March is a month-long readathon that goes throughout the entire month of March, where my co-hosts and I are trying to encourage adults to read middle grade books. If you read even one middle grade book during the entire readathon, you've participated, and that's all we were looking for. However, we did come up with some prompts and a group book to help kind of spice it up a little bit, if you will. Just kind of show people like maybe some new things that they are not familiar with in middle grade, open the door for some different books in their lives. And so, yeah. Today I have 2 books for every prompt that we selected that I'm planning on reading, as well as our group book and one other book that I will tag on at the end and explain. So let's just get into it for now. And we will start with the group book. So our group book this year is A Rover's Story by Jasmine Warga. This is a sci-fi middle grade book about a Mars rover who is communicating with the daughter of one of the scientists that are in charge of it. And so it's just kind of about her writing back and forth to this rover. And I am so excited for this. I have read Jasmine Warga's other 2 books, middle grade books, and absolutely love them. And so I cannot wait to read this with all of you. We will be having a live discussion of this on March 29th on my friend Krista, who is one of my co-hosts, on her YouTube channel. That information will be down below. It's also in our announcement video, which will also be linked down below. And so, yeah, we hope that you will join us for our discussion of this, but this will be, of course, one of the books that I will be reading throughout the month. All right, and then the first prompt that I want to talk about is a book with either sea or sky on the cover. And so both of the books that I have for this prompt have both. They have sea and sky on the cover, and that's why I selected them. So the first one is a new release. This one actually would cover another prompt as well, and that is Otter by Katherine Applegate. This is a book in verse about an otter. And I am so excited to read this. I actually had pre-ordered this and never got around to reading it yet. And so, yeah, it says, meet Otter, the queen of play. She's a fearless sea otter, curious to a fault. But when Otter comes face to face with a hungry great white shark, her life takes a dramatic turn, one that will challenge everything she believes about herself and about the humans who hope to save her. So I cannot wait to read this. But sea, sky, it's going to be great. I just have a feeling. All right, the other book that I decided to pick for this is also a book in verse, which I did not do on purpose, but alas, here we are. And that is Root Beer Candy and Other Miracles. This is by Sherry Green. Sherry Green is one of my favorite underrated in verse writers. She is a beautiful poet. She wrote one of my favorite in-verse novels, Macy McMillan and the Rainbow Goddess, which I loved, and I have this, I think was her debut, and I have not read this one yet, but it has sea and sky on the cover. I don't even know what it is about at all. I'm just trusting that I'm gonna love it because it's Sherry Green, and in my eyes, she can do no wrong. So those are the 2 books that I am planning on reading for sea and sky on the cover. The next prompt that I want to talk about is a book that features a neurodivergent character. And so I have 2 different, very different books for this. One is a historical fiction, and that is The Thing I'm Most Afraid Of. This is by Kristen Levine. I've read her before, and I actually started this, I think, last middle grade March and never finished it. But this takes place during the Bosnian War, and it just has to do with this girl whose father is like living over in Europe, and so she goes to visit her father for the summer and gets very involved with kind of refugees and things like that, but she suffers from severe anxiety, and so there is anxiety rep in this, and I am really, really excited to continue reading this. And then the other book I have here is A Mango-Shaped Space by Wendy Mass, and this has to do with, what's her name, Mia, who appears to be a typical kid, but she's keeping a big secret. Sounds, numbers, and words have color for her. No one knows, and Mia wants to keep it that way, but when trouble at school finally forces her to reveal her secret, she must learn to accept herself and embrace her ability called synesthesia. I cannot say that word. But anyway, so this has synesthesia rep in it. Say that 5 times fast. I am so excited to read this. It won the Schneider Book Award, so it would fill another prompt in that regard. And yeah, I'm excited for all the books, guys. They all sound so good. All right, next I'm going to talk about sci-fi books. So, sorry, I'm like books all over the place here. Let's talk about sci-fi books. So one of our prompts is to read a sci-fi book. Obviously, the group pick would count for this. So if that's the sci-fi book you pick up, by all means, great. I love sci-fi, and so I will be picking up 2 additional sci-fi in addition to the Rover story, or a Rover story. But the first one that I'm planning on picking up is Adam 2. This is by Alastair Chisholm. Alastair Chisholm wrote one of my favorite middle grade sci-fi books, Orion Lost. And so I think pre-ordered this, and it is now 2 years old. Something like that. When was this published? 2021. So yeah, 2 years old. I still haven't read it. It sounds so good. It says that he has been locked in a basement of a lost building for over 200 years. When he emerges into a world ruled by a civil war between humans and AI. He's hunted by both sides, and then he discovers that he holds the key to the war and the power to end it, but he has to decide whose side he's on. Sounds so good. So I will be reading that. And then the other sci-fi book is the only book I don't have here, and that is Plotting the Stars, book 1. It's called Moon Garden. It's by Michelle A. Berry. Sorry, my notes are over here. And it is a secret garden retelling in space. And that's all I know. And the cover is gorgeous. So I will be ordering this one before middle grade March, and I am so excited to read this. I do have an e-galley of it, or I have an e-galley of it, so like a advanced reader's copy. So I have it on ebook, but the cover's so gorgeous. I want to own it as well. So I will be purchasing it, but it just sounds so good. So I'm excited to read that. All right, next on the list is to read a book that won an award, but not the Newbery. So other than the Newbery Award. So obviously of some of these, I'm trying to remember which ones. This one would count for that. I think that's the only one I have so far that would count for that. But I have 2 other ones. The first one is Wild Oak. This is by Cece Harrington, and this is about a girl with a stutter. Her dad wants to send her for treatment, and so she decides her mom gives her the option to go spend some time out in the wilderness with her grandfather, and so she takes that option and finds this snow leopard cub, and some stuff happens between her and the snow leopard cub, and I don't know, but I've heard that it is amazing. It won the Schneider Award, which is an award for disability rep, and so I am super excited to give this one a try. This one also, I believe, was published within last year, which is our other prompt, so it would count for that as well. But I'm excited to read this for an award other than the Newbery. And then the other book that I want to read for this prompt is The Penderwicks. How many times has The Penderwicks been on a TBR that Amanda put out? I probably couldn't count. A lot. I still haven't read it. It's a National Book Award winner. So it fits this prompt. I need to read this book. Desperately bad. I want to read this whole series, to be honest. I really need to read it. So this might be top of the list for middle grade March. Oh, this is about 4 siblings who are, it says, a summer tale of 4 sisters, 2 rabbits, and a very interesting boy. That's really all I know. I just know it's fantastic and it has a great following, and most people that read it love it. So I'm assuming I will too. All right, and then our last prompt is to read a book that was published within the last year. Obviously, this one falls into that category. This one falls into that category. This one falls into that category. I don't remember when this one was released. Let me check. No, that was 2021. Okay. But the ones I picked specifically for this category, the first one is another one I pre-ordered and haven't read yet. The Midnight Garden by Dan Gemeinhart. He wrote Cody's, The Remarkable Journey of Coyote Sunrise, which I loved. I've read another book by him too, which I really enjoyed, and so I really want to read this one. It's absolutely beautiful. It has to do with a boy. It says, in the dead of night, a truck arrives in Slaughterville, which is a small town. Seven mysterious kids with suitcases step out of a vehicle and into an abandoned home on a dead-end street. Um, Timid and lonely, Ravani Foster covertly witnesses their arrival, and he's eager to learn everything he can about his new neighbors. And so he like befriends one of them. Some things happen. I don't really know. The cover did it for me, you guys. Not gonna lie. All right, and then the last one that I have to fit this prompt that came out in the last year also won a Newbery Honor Award this year. It also won the Asian Pacific American Award for Children's Literature. So it would fit into those categories. And that is Maisie Chen. Oh, and it's also a National Book Award finalist. Maisie Chen's Last Chance by Lisa Yee. I started reading this last week and decided I was going to hold off and save it for middle grade March. It's so good so far, though. It follows Maisie Chen, who is leaving LA to go to Minnesota with her mom to help take care of her ailing grandfather. And she starts learning about her heritage, her Chinese heritage, and about some of the things that were happening in the United States, like back when her grandparents came from China. And so it just sounds like it's going to be amazing. So I'm planning on reading that for that prompt. All right, and then I have one extra book that I want to read. Normally my middle grade March TBR is like 30, 40 books. Guys, I've had some life stuff happening, which I will explain in a different video, but I just don't have time. I don't have time for that many books this year, so I'm trying to be realistic with my book picks this year. But every year I try to pick a nonfiction book. I specifically look for a nonfiction book that is written for middle graders. I'm not looking for a nonfiction book that was nonfiction and then there's for adults and now there's a young readers edition of it. Not necessarily looking for that. I want to read a book that is written for middle graders and is more narrative style, not necessarily like textbook style. And it's really hard to find that at the library, is where I normally go. So if you have recommendations for books like that, I read Free Lunch that way. I just was perusing the books at my library and found that one, and it is one of my favorite middle grade books now. So yeah. Anyway, this year I picked one that I'm very excited about, and it is Signs of Survival, a memoir of the Holocaust. This is by Renee Hartman with Josh M. Green, and it says, two sisters, one deaf, one hearing, this is their true story. This is a very short book, and it's definitely not going to take me very long to read it. It's kind of got bigger font, but it is about Renee and Herta, who were two sisters who faced the unimaginable together. They were living in Czechoslovakia, and they basically they were taken away together, and one of them was deaf and one of them was hearing. So it just sounded like a really interesting Holocaust story, and so I decided to give that one a shot for this year. So that is my middle grade March TBR. Lots of books. All of these books will be linked down below, so be sure to check them out down there. And yeah, let me know what you're planning on reading for middle grade March. Have you read any of these books? Do you have opinions about any of these books? Let me know all the things. I am so excited to read some middle grade with you guys this next month. And that's going to do it for today. So I hope that you enjoy this. I hope that you stick around and subscribe. And until next time, see ya.